I had to watch What Makes Daffy Duck twice because the first time I watched it, and I didn't think that I didn't enjoy it, but I got to the end of it and thought I didn't retain any of that. It just didn't hold my attention. So I watched it the second time, and definitely the second time's the charm. I enjoyed it a lot more, and I retained a lot more of it. Now, I'm not saying you have to watch it twice to enjoy it, but certainly I am going to say that it's not as captivating as a lot of them. I didn't think it was funny as a lot of Daffy Duck and Elmer Fudd cartoons. I really like them as a pair because Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd gets wound up very easily, but so does Daffy Duck. And I think they work very well together as a pairing. We also have an additional character here. We have a fox, and the fox character I particularly liked. What Makes Daffy Duck is a 1948 cartoon directed by Arthur Davis with a story by Lloyd Turner and Bill Scott. And of course we have Mel Blanc as Daffy Duck and Arthur Q. Bryan as Elmer Fudd. And it's duck season, and it begins with Elmer Fudd trying to hunt Daffy Duck. And this fox comes into the mix, and this fox is posing a threat to Elmer Fudd, of course, but also the fox could pose a threat to Daffy Duck. And it goes back and forth with not whose team he's on, that's not necessarily the right way to look at it, but which character is utilising the presence of the fox most. We also have Elmer Fudd dressing up in a costume at one point, which I thought was pretty fabulous. I won't spoil it by explaining too much about that, but I thought it worked very well, and visually I really enjoyed it. So why didn't it stick with me the first time? I just don't think it was that funny. Visually, it's quite appealing. I like the design of the fox. I think the fox looks very good. There are certain other things about the way it was animated that worked very well. The colour scheme is absolutely gorgeous. The greens and the blues all go well together really nicely. But I feel like the gags last a bit too long. They're few and far between for my personal taste. And that means that if one of them isn't hitting the mark for me, it carries on for longer than I would have liked. So for me, it's not perfect. There's definitely room for improvement, but I'm glad that I watched it a second chance, rather than just saying, hey, I watched this, I didn't remember any of it, it must be boring. I'm glad that I kind of said, well, that's not usual for this kind of cartoon with me. It's a shame that it took 2 watches for me to finally see some positivity in it, but I can spare the time. It's only 7 minutes. I'm glad I watched it again. I'd say it's worth watching at least once. It's not so fabulous that I would say if you don't like it the first time, you have to watch it again to enjoy it, because I'm not like enamoured of it. But it was worth a watch the second time. I do like the character of the fox. I particularly like Elmer Fudd's performance in this one. What Makes Daffy Duck may not be perfect, but it's not too bad.